Hello everyone! You probably clicked on this video because you want to know how to make the hardware of your halter. So let's get started with this video. And you will need wire, and I use 0.5mm, but you can also use the 0.8mm wire. What you will need is your horse. Depends on the horse, you will need a different size. So I'm using a slide horse. The other thing that you will need is some pliers. I use a flat mouth plier, I use a cutting plier, and I use a round nose plier. So the first hardware that we are going to make is for your halter. So I'm going to cut off some piece of wire around this length. It's probably around a few centimeters big. It's big enough. So what you are going to do for the first hardware that you are going to make is a little jump ring. The little jump rings are here on the cheek side of the horse and under the horse's mouth. So you in total need 3 jump rings of the same size. Depending on the size ribbon you use, I use a 3mm ribbon for a simple ribbon halter and 1.5mm ribbon for a realistic ribbon halter. So it's a little bit of a difference. So I have my wire onto my plier, my round nose plier, and I have a certain size for my jump rings. You can have a different size, but I use around here, so a few millimeters down I have my wire here in the middle. Then I'm going to grab it on really tight and just move it around the plier. Move it around, move it around, move it around. Then when you meet the first end of the wire, you have a little nice jump ring. So this is your jump ring, and this takes a little bit of a practice. It took me quite a while to figure this out, how it works. But now I can make those little nice jump rings. So what you are going to do then is you're going to cut off the excess. So where the 2 wires meet for the first time, you will cut it off. And then you have your first jump ring completed. We will need 2 more of those, so I'm going to make that for you to know how to make those. So I'm going to grab my wire again with my pliers around the same length. So and I'm going to put it around your plier, the same size, till the 2 wires meet. Then we're going to clamp it on a little bit. They are right nice above each other. So then I'm going to cut the excess off. So I'm going to clamp those 2 ends a little bit together because they are a little bit off. And then you have a nice second jump ring. So one last time. Grab with your plier the wire at the same length as you did with the other 2 jump rings. Then you will pull your wire around the plier till the ends meet each other. So then you have a little jump ring. Cut off the excess, and if the ends are not on top of each other, because there's a little gap here, you can grab your flat mouth pliers and push them together so you have no gap. So those were the jump rings. You also have buckles. And depends on the halter that you want to make. If you have a leather halter, for example, a really deluxe leather halter, you have one here, buckle, one there, and one here as well. So you have 3 of those. So it depends on the halter that you are going to make. You have a amount of buckles. So I'm just going only to make 1 buckle for now. And what you do is you grab your flat mouth plier. You will grab your wire at a, well, let's just say 1.5 millimeters, and then you bend it at a 90-degree angle, and then you will get a nice little shape like this. Then you are going to grab your round nose pliers, because the flat mouth plier is too big to continue, so I'm going to grab my round nose pliers and I'm going to bend it again. So you probably see that this is a really small becoming buckle, and that's true. It's a really small buckle, and you really need this because slike is not really big and you really need small buckles. But if you're going for briar, you could probably make some bigger buckles, but it's a experience. You will need to experience it yourself. So then I'm going to go in again with my pliers, and I'm going to hold it on, and I'm going to bend it again. Now you will have something like this. Make sure that the wire is nice and straight. Then you will grab the other side of the buckle and bend it again and again. This will give you a nice figure 8. To make nice ends, I'm going to cut the rest of the wire with my scissors so it has a nice end. So what do you make more? Well, you need to make the halter rings, and you maybe noticed that these little jump rings, I only made 3 of those. So where are the halter rings? I'm going to make different halter rings. I'm going to make those realistic 3-eyed halter rings. So what do you need to do? So you grab your wire on the smallest size of your plier and you're going to bend it, and then another time bending it, so you get a half moon like this, sort of a half moon or a C, and then you are going to cut that one off into a square. So now you have a square or a full-on circle. So then you are going to make a sort of buckle, and this is maybe really weird because you are going to make a regular buckle, but then the buckle has a twist. When you have a buckle, I'm going to bend the wire up again. This will give you a really weird shape of the buckle. This is the buckle part, and then you are going to bend it upwards, and now you're going to bend it downwards again on the smallest size of your plier. So now you have the 2-eyed one. You can stop here, but if you still want to continue making the 3-eyed one, you need to grab it on again, then you will bend it again, and then you have a really weird, and this triangle shape you will need for your 3-eyed halter ring to make. Then we're going to bend it again, make the 3rd eye, and then make it really nice under the rest of the buckle to get a 3-eyed halter ring. This takes a lot of practice because this one is really hard to make. And this is your 3-eyed buckle or halter ring. So this is the most used halter ring that I make, and I make the most of the time 3-eyed halter rings. So I need 2 of those, and I'm going to cut off the excess. So I've cut it off and the 3-eyed halter ring is done. I need to make another one, so I'm going to show you one more time how to make these halter rings. So what you need to do is you grab your wire at the smallest size of your plier. Then you bend it down. Then you got a really nice 90-degree angle. Then you bend it down again to get this half moon or C shape. So after that I'm going to grab it again and bend it down till you get a square shape where it's completely around and done. So after you bend it again, after 3 times, you will get this shape. But then you are going to make your buckle. Your buckle, you need to grab the wire on the other side where the ends meet. So you're going to bend it again. Bend it again, and you will have your buckle. But you don't want the buckle, you want the halter ring. So you need to do some steps more. And you need to do some steps more. So I'm going to grab my buckle again on the smaller size and I'm going to bend it down. And it will look something like this. This is when you bend it down. So now you are going to bend it in this weird triangle shape to get your second eye. If you want a 2-eyed halter ring, you can leave it like this, but I don't. I want a 3-eyed halter ring, so I'm going to make another eye. And you do this by making a third eye, so bending it and bending it till the ends meet again. So I'm going to bend it, and this is how it looks. So this is how your second halter ring looks. It must look the same and mustn't be the same size, otherwise it will look really weird. So after that you cut off the excess. So make sure those are the same size, otherwise it won't fit the horse for the halter that you want to make. So now that you have made 2 halter rings, 3 jump rings and 1 buckle, what's more to make? Well, you need to make a little hook for your chickpeas to hold on to a jump ring, and that's one you need to use one of those 3 jump rings. So I'm going to make a little hook. And how do you make a hook? Well, first I'm going to make the big hook. Big hook, yes, a big hook, and that's just this. Then you probably wonder, why do you need a big hook? Well, on the outside of the halter, this big hook will go on the outside. You will need to make a smaller one. So I'm going to make a smaller one. So I'm going to bend it down and bend it down again till the ends meet again. And this is your smaller hook. And you probably don't know why, because I'm going to make a realistic hardware. So I want my halter to be realistic, and you will see a image right now where you have a hook on the side with a little square jump ring underneath where it can move. Those 2 parts can move of each other, but they need to be connected with each other so that they can move. And that's with a real halter, you'll see those parts that they can move. And I'm going to copy it with my model horse halter. So I'm going to cut off the excess. So now I have made this. A really strange S hook. And now I'm going to make that little square sort of jump ring kind of thing. is a square, so I'm going to make a square. So I need to make flat mouth pliers, and I'm going to grab the wire at some size that I want. So I'm probably just a millimeter, bending it in 90 degrees. Then I grab my round of pliers, and at the smallest size I'm going to bend it down again, and then at the same size of the first bend you made here, I'm going to bend down the wire again, and then you have your square, and you could leave it like this, but I don't. I find it really really important to have the edges nice and out of the way. So I'm going to do this, and this is your hardware for your halter. So I'm going to attach the little square ring to the hook. So I'm going to grab my hook again, and this is going to maybe sound a bit strange, but I'm going to grab my hook again, and I'm going to open the smallest hook on your hook. So I'm going to open the smallest hook of your big hook, and I'm going to push the square jump ring through. After that, I'm going to close up my hook, my big hook. So this is now closed up. And now you have a hook with attached a square jump ring. So you would need this for your halter, and this will give it a nice realistic feel to it. So after that, there's one little thing that you need to make, and that is a triangle shape. A triangle shape you really need for your halter to give it a realistic look to it. This is where you have to need one of your jump rings, because you're going to make a noseband on the top where you need your halter rings, and at the bottom it will connect to a circle of noseband. Under that you will need here a jump ring, then a little triangle shape, and then you have a little piece of ribbon again that attaches to the throat lash. So that is what I'm going to make right now. I'm going to make a triangle. So how do you make that? It's probably a little bit weird, but start somewhere here. On both sides you have a little piece of wire, and you're just going to bend. So this will give you your triangle shape, and I'm going to grab my scissor and I'm going to cut off the ends. That's all cut off, and this is my triangle. So you need to make 3 jump rings at the smallest size for your slide horse. You will need 2 of these halter rings on the same size for your halter. Then you will need 1 buckle, a hook with a square jump ring attached to it, a triangle shape. So these were all the hardwares to make for your halter. So if you really like this video, I have a material list video right here. So click on it if you want to know all the materials that you will need for model horse tag making if you are a beginner or more experienced. So click on it and have fun watching.